Are you interested in the University of Maryland? Do you have questions about the academics, the research opportunities, the social life? Maybe you're wondering about the trade-off between attending a state school and a more prestigious private school. I've got what you need. This is College Mentor Chris. I am a journalist and author turned college essay consultant. After working one-on-one with more than 300 students, I'm now offering online webinars. For information about that, you can check out my website, collegeessaymentor.com. For information about University of Maryland, I am going to be talking to Viraj. I am talking today with Viraj. Viraj, please introduce yourself.
All right, thank you so much for having me, Chris. So my name is Viraj. I am a rising senior at the University of Maryland, and I'm studying neurobiology and health policy and technology. So I ended up applying to way too many colleges. I applied to like 20 colleges, and it ended up going really well. And I got into schools like Hopkins, WashU, Vanderbilt, Johns Hopkins University, Duke. And it was exciting because, like, for me especially, with my interest in biomedical engineering, the program at Johns Hopkins was kind of like a dream that I'd had for a really long time, because it's like kind of known as like one of the best biomedical engineering programs in the world. But I ultimately decided to go to University of Maryland. A little bit of background into my decision to go to University of Maryland is I knew that I wanted to go to medical school. And I knew that medical school in the United States tends to be really, really expensive. So the big factor that really pushed me towards Maryland, first was cost, and second was, if I wanted to go to med school, I'm going to have to be able to not only take a lot of classes at one time, two, do really well in those classes, but three, be able to balance the classes with a lot of extracurricular things in college, because that's a big part of medical school applications. And I realized that going to a state school, University of Maryland, which is a good state school, I could kind of have the best of both worlds. I could, be able to handle my classes because that'd be easier than schools like Hopkins. And I'd save a lot of money because my ultimate goal was to go to med school.
There is an inclination with students who have your grades, test scores, etc., to get accepted by the best school they can and attend that school. And I really admire the choice you made, because it fits your goals and also your family's financial goals. Tell me, what sort of things did you do freshman year?
Yeah, so freshman year, I started as a biomedical engineering major. It took me about 4 months to realize I wouldn't make a good engineer. So I decided to drop the engineering major, move out of the engineering school. And temporarily, I was even an undeclared major for a little bit of time. Fast forward about a little while, and I ended up finding my interest in public health and biology. So freshman year, early on, I joined a student group called Public Health Without Borders. It's an organization that does student-led global health interventions annually in India, Peru, Sierra Leone, and then locally in the greater Washington, D.C. area. And then I also picked up some research at University of Maryland. Through Public Health Without Borders, I got really interested in the idea of public health, and that medicine and people going to hospitals and doctors are really only a small piece of the pie that defines the health of this country. So from that, I got into a research group at the University of Maryland that investigated the social science of vaccines.
Suffice to say, you're choosing to go to University of Maryland does not seem to have meant you had any shortage of resources or opportunities to pursue your goals.
I would completely agree. Chris, I was really scared going to University of Maryland because for the time I was in high school, I was really hearing these narratives that, especially for me, Hopkins was going to give me the opportunities that I needed to get to the level that I wanted to. And when I went to University of Maryland, what I really realized is there are no shortage of opportunities. And for students that are really motivated and are willing to take those opportunities and seek them out, faculty are more than happy to start getting you involved in research, for you to lead organizations, and for you to do all kinds of incredible things. And the second thing I'll say with that is, oftentimes there might even be a little less competition. I know there's always these stories about how students have to compete with each other to get research opportunities and to push forward their resume. I faced none of that at University of Maryland. I found it to be like a not cutthroat place at all. Everyone was really encouraging. From the first week I was there, we were like in groups of 20 huddling around a whiteboard studying for organismal biology exams. Like it was all collaborative. So, I have to say I've really enjoyed my decision and my time in Maryland.
Tell me about your peer group. What kind of students did you find were there and you were spending time with?
Yeah, so at University of Maryland, I'm in the Honors College, and at the Honors College in Maryland, the way it works is there are these 7 living and learning programs. And the premise of a living and learning program is you move in, and for your first and sometimes your second year, you live with a group of students who are all in your program. And they're all centered around a theme. So my honors program at Maryland is called Integrated Life Sciences. It's pretty much a group of really, really motivated pre-medical students and some people who want to pursue PhDs in the life science. And the funny thing is a lot of them kind of hadn't followed my same path where they all wanted to go to medical school. A lot of them got admission to one or more Ivy Leagues or other top 10, top 20 schools. And then they decided to go to Maryland because they had to pay very little to go to University of Maryland. So my peer group was essentially starting from that honors program. We had a cohort of about 90 students, and we all lived together in the same 2 floors of a dorm at University of Maryland. And it was really cool because I was now surrounded by this peer group who all had the same passions as I did, and were all interested in the exact same things as I did.
When you're in the honors college, what's your relationship with the rest of the university and other students?
So within the honors college, the only thing that really is different from the rest of the university is there are certain courses that are available to really only honors college students. So with regard to my honors program, Integrated Life Sciences, it is essentially 4 classes, but honors version of those 4 classes that pretty much any pre-med would have had to take. So organismal biology, genetics and genomics, cell biology, and then a 4th options class. So what I found incredible about this honors program is we had fantastic advising, both for being pre-med, just about adjusting to college, life in general, and it was always there every single week whenever we needed it. And I have to say that's one of the things that people are really scared about when they go to state school, right, is that they become lost in the crowd of many. They become one of like 25,000 students. Right. And I was scared of that when I went to Maryland, but what I quickly found is that if you find faculty members and you find advisors, they're going to be willing to help you. And immediately with that and a peer group, you've already made your small little circle in this really big university.
How about things like freshman writing, freshman seminar? Are those part of the requirements at Maryland?
So the way Maryland works is we have general education requirements, and there are a bunch of categories, right? So there's like a math category, there's a humanities category, there's a social sciences, there is what's called an I series, which is like an intellectual curiosity thinking type class. There's like a cultural creativity theme, and we can then pick from a huge selection of general education courses that all meet these requirements. Some of them may meet more than one. There is requirements to be a University of Maryland student to graduate to first take the equivalent of English 101, so like a freshman writing class. If you get a 4 or 5 on AP language, you can get out of it, so I didn't have to take it. But when you are a junior onwards, you also take what's called professional writing. And this essentially introduces you to how to write at a high level for different professions. So I took scientific writing. So it essentially gave us a large intro to a lot of core principles about professional scientific writing. So there are also a lot of other options for the professional writing. Like there is English professional writing. You can also take health professions advising professional writing, which is essentially working on medical school essays. There's also engineering professional writing. But there's a core requirement of they want you to have experience in some sort of professional level writing before you graduate.
Clearly, you're pretty busy in the classroom.
Yeah.
Find any number of research and other things to do outside of the classroom. Do you have any room for a social life?
Yeah, I think I have to say that's one of the best things in Maryland is that I can do an internship, a research opportunity, and multiple clubs. I can take a very full course load. I still have time to hang out with my friends every day. My friend group was kind of taking the same classes as I was. They have the same goals. And we also all, after my first year, we all moved off campus to the same apartment building. So we were all with each other. So I think that's got to be one of the best things that I could say is, right? Like, yes, I've been able to do well in college. Yes, I've had opportunities. the best thing is I've had a balance where never have I had to completely shut down my social life just because I wanted to like go hardcore and study straight 2 weeks for exams and things like that.
Is there something I didn't ask that you think somebody really ought to know when they're considering Maryland?
When you go to a college as big as Maryland, you start as a blank slate. You can kind of go and mold it and add to it any way that you like. These opportunities are there. It's just your responsibility as a student to seek them out.
So thank you very much for taking the time to talk.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.